Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Cannabis Community Project. I am Brainstorm, bringing you your weekly podcast from the CCP studios high up in Denver, Colorado, exploring the business side of the newly emerging Colorado economy, focusing on the business, the patient, the retailer, to the geek in the garage, creating the next innovation in cannabis. You know, this is the first media platform to help fellow cannapreneurs build sustainable business models while living the lifestyle. Do you have a business, an idea, or just some thoughts about cannabis? Did I really just say idea? Do you have a business, an idea, or just some thoughts about cannabis? Contact me. I want to hear from you. Let's discuss the issues at the front of the industry. Let's talk about health, legal issues, food, music, growing, technology, everything in the happenings on cannabis. You can hear us on just about any media platform now. We're going strong on Spreaker, and of course we're up on iTunes and SoundCloud and Stitcher and even YouTube. So wherever you want to listen, just listen and do us a favor of just clicking a like or a share or something that lets us know you're listening. The more people that we know are listening, the more encouragement and the more excitement. I know I get more excited when I see that number rising every week of people listening, and I hear feedback. It makes me happy to be here, and I love it, and I want to pass that on to you with a great show. So just let me know you're out there. And we can always communicate on Facebook, Kush Common, if you know what that is. Join us, Cannabis Community Project, and listen to the show right from the webpage. If you don't want to mess around with media players, just go right to CannabisCommunityProject.com, click on the play button, and you're off and going. So here we are, show number 7. This is the benchmark. The benchmark we are going for, the one that my de facto podcast coach, Dave Jackson, School of Podcasting, says most podcasters don't make it past show 7. So I guess out of spite, really, we have to do at least this one and then next week, if nothing else. If nothing else, even if everything collapses and the world falls apart, we have to do at least next week's show to surpass that number 7. And then who knows, maybe we'll be off and running from then and keep growing. You know, if you'd like to join us and help out, be part of the community with whichever way you can. Obviously, being a listener is appreciated. But if you want to be close up and personal with us, you want to get involved in the production, you feel like you're a reporter and you got some stories to tell, or maybe you're a musician and you have some music that you think this community has the right ear for, whatever it is, let me know, because I want to get together. I'm crowdsourcing this show. So I'm out there in the community, building a community, and I want to make it of the community. So come get involved. Come get involved. Come join the team. Come join the Cannabis Community Project. Well, let's move on now to our well-known short-term memory flashback relapse to last week's show. Another great show with Mike P. Did you learn a little something about caregivers? Did you understand what the struggles are to get a business off the ground here in Colorado and cannabis? A lot of people think it's just a simple matter of putting a sign on your door that says, you know, marijuana sold here or something, and then you're off and running and you're rich and everybody is happy. Not the case. And for a lot of people, this industry has a lot of different meanings. You heard Mike's story, and it was a powerful one. Very deep, emotional story about the roots of becoming a cannapreneur. And I bet there's a lot of other people out there just like Mike who are following that same path. So don't let your voice be left out. Contact me. We'll get you on the show. But let's move into a quick relapse so we don't forget all the good stuff we learned last week, because I got a short-term memory, and I don't know why. Let's take a listen.
Real name is Mike Polk, just another person.
And you're the owner, proprietor of this?
Yeah.
Where are we?
At 4 Strains, Smoking Accessories, and Medical Marijuana Caregiver.
How did you eventually make your way to that beginning to start?
I never wanted to be a legal marijuana grower.
this idea of kind of being forced into the industry as an entrepreneur as a way to survive.
They gave us an industry. They gave it back to us. They ended prohibition. To be honest with you, it's a blessing to be part of this.
Well, it's an opportunity. If you were a criminal, how did you get involved as this industry allowed to participate?
Constitutional business. I am a caregiver. I'm not a marijuana center yet. All I did was limit my ability temporarily. I acquired a retail sales tax license and a state sales tax license, the OPT, whatever, with the city. Pay all my taxes as a caregiver. I am transparent about the fact that I sell marijuana. I am regulated to an extent. Their rules are just different than mine.
I run the front desk. You'll see me if you come down and buy a pipe, man. Yeah, I was in the Army for 3.5 years. I was a helicopter mechanic. Now I'm here, man, doing what I actually love, you know.
But you're the controversial 4 strains giving free marijuana.
Yeah, we started giving people of 21 years of age from anywhere marijuana free when they came to our head shop.
Amendment 64 states that any Colorado resident can gift another Colorado resident without trade up to an ounce.
You know, the marijuana is literally free. I don't make any money off of it.
But you also have this unique combination where now you have this smoking lounge infused with the head shop.
You come into the shop and you get the hookah for an hour. I didn't talk to my brother for almost 2 years until this Christmas because he started smoking marijuana. Yeah, I'm excluded from family events.
Really? Because you smoke?
Just because I smoke marijuana, yeah. I was like, okay, so you're against the consumption of marijuana because it alters the mind. Well, what about education? It's legal now. People are being educated. Where they were ignorant, they are now enlightened, and it's fantastic.
Cannabis user does not fall into any demographic. Oh, yeah. It is all demographic.
Not everybody who smokes weed is like Cheech and Chong.
When I was 11, I shattered my femur. So yeah, I started smoking because I was taking at least a dozen 800 ibuprofen a day to numb the pain. I stopped taking pharmaceutical medicines altogether, and I just smoke marijuana. My leg feels fine. I never have a problem with it. Ignorance has no place in the world. It really does.
It's out there. You can't stop it.
It's been a good talk, though, man.
Yeah. So it's 2060 West Colfax, Unit A in Denver. 4 Strains at Facebook, 4strains.com.
You remember that one? Did it stick with you? You remember it now? Being a caregiver isn't so easy, and I don't think being a dispensary is high times either. But we're going to keep tracking it and following it and being part of it in every way. So we're going to see what happens with other caretakers. We're going to follow Mike some more. We're going to see what happens with dispensaries, and we're going to follow them. Technically, I guess they're centers now. So we're going to follow them and see what happens. We want to follow these stories and bring these stories to you so you get a sense of it. Because this industry is not just about drugs. There's people involved. Let's move on now to Twin News, This Week in News, where we bring you all of our social media, aggregated, consolidated, and really just a bunch of shared pages that everybody else probably is doing the same thing from somebody else and somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. So what we're going to do is pick out the best, the most exciting, what I kind of think is the most interesting, and I'll give them back to you in a short 5-minute little segment, give you my opinion on 1 or 2 items, and then we'll move on into our main interview. Let's get on to it. Twin News. Here we go. First up, as always, Moms for Marijuana, sharing a link by theweedblog.com. Members of Congress tell Obama to remove marijuana from Schedule 1. Read about it. Drug possession law shares a link by Make It Legal's photo. Sharing cannabis increases the desire for food, makes food smell better and taste richer, decreases pain and relaxes, and elevates a person's mood. Show Me Cannabis sharing a link from the blogs. State Representative Stanley Cox says Missouri's marijuana laws are just fine the way they are. I guess Missouri has some way to go. Cannabis Training University shares Cannabis Now magazine's photo. Get 9 hours of online training, a 500-page ebook, 6 months of unlimited viewing. There you go. There's a little free ad for you. What else do we got here? Cannabis law reform. 18 ways to consume cannabis. Did you just think smoking was the only way to get it in your body? Oh, there's people out there inventing ways to get THC into you. 18 ways. Learn about it at #EndTheWarOnDrugs. Cannabis law reform. Reporting marijuana may stop the spread of HIV. Marijuana has long been used to effectively treat symptoms associated with HIV, now as chronic pain and weight loss, but a growing body of research suggests the plant may be able to stop HIV. Read about it at thehuffingtonpost.com. Independence, i.e. Colette Brown. Why should teenagers become criminals for taking the odd spliff? That's a good point, especially coming from an administration by an individual who has many photos documenting him as a youngster inhaling the spleef, quote unquote, if anybody still uses that word anymore. This is one of these issues we touched on last week with Mike and that we're going to touch on with other people. This idea of having petty laws destroy your entire life for the rest of your life. How many teenagers need to be arrested? Misdemeanors, felonies, does it matter? Because once that happens, your chances and opportunities in life are instantly narrowed. Do you know you can't qualify for financial aid if you have any drug offenses? Bye-bye student loans. If you can't get into school, what do you think the chances of getting a better education and a job are? Because then you're forced into universities that are quote-unquote non-accredited, that accept private loans instead of qualifying you for financial aid, overcharge for their prices, and give you inadequate degrees. If you're a teenager and you get tagged as a criminal, where do you go in life? Where do you start over? I always thought the point of being a juvenile was that when you became an adult, you got the chance to start over. But now we have laws that are forcing teenagers to carry with them into adulthood this teenager stigma and tag of being a criminal. Who here can honestly say you were the same person at 18, 17, 16, 15, whatever year as you are or were at 25, 35, and beyond? Biologically, our bodies are renewing and changing every 7 years or so. You don't think mentally and emotionally we're doing the same thing? This idea that you are who you are and people don't change is nonsense. People do it all the time. It's about time we start looking at these drug laws not as a way of how can we diminish and prevent people from using it in the first place, because it's not working, obviously. But why don't we look at it as what can we do with teenagers during the years where they may be rebellious, troublemakers, maybe even drug users? But how can we give them another chance in life to start over once they hit that age of renewal, 18, 21, whatever it be? But should petty crimes like marijuana possession and usage stick with you throughout your adult life that carries on to preventing you in job, insurance, what other opportunities may exist in life? The biggest one, preventing you from a decent education, getting into the workplace. Where do you go? Stuff to think about, because we want to change that, and we want you to join us and help us change that society. That's all you need to know this week. And that was the news. Everything you need to know this week, all cannabis related. This week's show is brought to you by HMO Plus for all your growing needs. Visit them at www.hmoplus.com. Hey, speaking of HMO Plus, remember the interview with the GrowFlounder? That's to date our highest viewed or listened to, our highest listened to interview. If you didn't get a chance to hear it, go back. It's episode number 2 of this year of 2014. It's our special guest of Road to Success, Joe Growflounder. So people liked him so much and he had such great information and everybody thought he was so knowledgeable that we thought we would go back and visit him again in his shop this time and take a look at his operation. So obviously you're saying, how's an audio show do a visual presentation of a grow shop? Well, I guess you'll just have to listen in and see if you can visualize it. It was a pretty cool setup. He had all of the latest technology and lights and the setup with the plumbing and the water and the pipes and the hoses and da-da-da-da-da. It all looked legit and confirmed, and there was stuff growing, and there was even a secret room that we couldn't get into. Very intriguing. We'll have to go back and see if we can sneak into that room. But we're going to do a double header here. We're going to listen in the shop with Joe Growflounder, and we start talking at the very end about an individual that I met I don't know, about a month and a half ago that was very interesting. A glass blower, ERRL RIGGZ. You can find him on Facebook at ERRL RIGGZ, who has an interesting design and setup that I went and visited him in his shop. That decided to give you a double header today and put them both together since they kind of fit together. And this week's episode is in the shop. We're going to start out with Joe Growflounder and learn about what it's like to be in the middle of a grow house. And then we're going to switch over and learn what it's like to be a glass blower and blow glass and make a living out of being an artist / cannapreneur. Let's take a listen. It's an interesting one. And you might even learn a little something. This is your drying room?
No, this is my home. I just use it for drying because, well, this is my mother room. This is where all the little mothers live and all the little clones live. And I got two new mothers down here. This is some Rascal OG. This is crazy, 2 different kinds of plants, and they're all braided. I've taken the skins together.
Are you trying to blend strains?
Yeah, seeing what happens to blend some strains, see if they'll take
So
that
by
way.
just twisting the roots together, the buds will produce a new strain?
No.
The seeds they produce will be slightly modified?
It hasn't attached here, but when you skin them together, try to get them to grow, I don't know. It's just experimental. Totally experimental. See what happens. Well, tops look good. Looks like little palm trees. See what happens. See what flavor they come out to be.
Yeah, well, they look good.
But I've stripped the skins. I put some root producer on them. I had them taped up. I pulled them off to see. It doesn't look like they've taken. So far, they're still alive. We'll see what happens. I'm going to play with them some more. We'll let you know the results on that.
And your bucket over here in the corner, I don't know if we talked about this last time or not, but what is the bucket circulating in the water?
Just that's my water reservoir. 40
for your
gallons
plants in the next room.
for everything. I just keep water in it, and then I just add nutrients because I have enough plants that I'll blow through that water in one feeding when I add nutrients. That just keeps good fresh water going.
So this room just holds about 5-6 plants, not very big. You got about,
1, 2,
okay, up top here you have another 8, 9, 10,
12,
11, 12. You're on the floor. Oh, it's about 15, 20.
Well, it's pretty unorganized right now, and those are all getting ready to leave out of here. Those are for some of my patients' grows, so I just give them the clones to help them out.
Oh, we can't see the other room? So you've taken
Right
us
now.
all this way to not pay
it's,
off and I get
it's-
some money shot? I mean, come on.
Well, no. Well, here
up
it
with
is
that?
right here. Everybody else in there is just sleeping. They won't be ready for another month, and we'll see them tonight. These ones here are the ones.
So you don't want to wake up them.
I don't want to wake up the plants.
So it is like the mother. You're scared of disturbing the...
You don't want to wake them up.
All right. I guess we'll have
You
to...
take the chance.
I guess we'll have to come back the next time we drive 2 hours. So.
If you go in there now,
Right.
you take the chance of them having problems like hermaphroditing when
Oh,
they change
shit.
sex, or they'll have seeds. It makes them grouchy to get change of light in the middle of their sleeping pattern.
That light's burning my eyes. That's
Right.
a heavy duty light.
It's a 600. This room stretches them out a little bit. That's all right. They get.
What's the light you have up top?
That's a metal highlight, 600 watt, but it feeds the whole room.
Yeah.
And then I put subsidiary lighting in.
How big of a room could a light like that support?
Well,
I mean, right now it's in a
you
small
lose-
little room, but potentially.
All right, here we go. Here, I got a tester right here. Come back
All
in
right.
here.
What's the tester?
Here's
A light
this I
tester?
got here is a little light tester. Okay, it's got this little window on it here. When I put my finger over it, it goes to no light. Now watch what happens. Now I take this light here, and it's in the green right here when I hold it to my chest, but our light's pretty high, so as I move it up, look at the needle goes up.
Wow.
If I put it up by the light,
Oh, yeah.
look, we're way up in
It
the
basically maxes out. So what does that mean?
So that's the difference of this is a lumina reader, so that it proves that closer to the light you get more luminous.
What's
than
an
farther
illumina?
away. Lumina is a count of light.
Light what?
How far light stretches.
Why does it say dry and wet on the tester here?
Oh, the tester, it's a three-way tester. You got light, and you got your pH, and you got moisture. So if we stick it in the plant here, it's a real simple tester. You put it on moisture, it tells me that it's way wet, even though it, doesn't look wet. But it's real wet down there deep in the roots. So if you push that down in there, and this one's super wet. So they actually need to dry out a little
And this
bit.
is an instant analog reading using a little copper wire and steel wire, or what's the setup?
Magnesium and copper, but I might be wrong. Yeah, see, they're all plenty wet, so I won't have to water any of these for 3 or 4 days. This here probably needs moved up. This is
Closer to the light. And what does that
New
do?
experiment here, little new dirt. This is all manure that I got from an outfit that breeds feeds horses and feeds them real well. So we're just trying to see if the manure itself will just sustain. We're working on some new kind of nutrients. Dirt's expensive, hydro shop.
How much are you paying for dirt?
You can pay anywhere from 15 to 20 bucks a bag.
A bag of what size?
What, that's about 20-pound bag, I guess, 40-pound bag.
And what does that support? How many plants?
In this 5-gallon bucket here that I got on the floor, you could probably do 4 of them out of a bag.
So one bag, 20 bucks, 4 plants for what amount of time? Is that per month, per week, per quarter?
Per cycle if you're only using that size of buckets.
And what are your cycles at right now?
Well, if you're going to grow bigger than a 3-month cycle or with a 1-month veg, you veg it for a month and then it takes 3 months after you change the life cycle to turn to buds, then you're going to have to change the dirt because all the dirt's going to get all taken over by the roots. There's not going to be much dirt left. It doesn't go away, but the roots...
So a cycle's 3 months?
Yeah. It takes almost all the marijuana 3 months to flower.
So if
3 to 4 months.
So if we broke it down where a Colorado resident is allowed to have 12 plants, 6 of them mature. So basically your room is supporting about 6 plants here. A bag supports about 4, so a bag and a half. So we're looking at about $30 per 3 months, so about $10 a month in just dirt cost alone to support an average Colorado resident growing the state allowed.
At least, and these are small pots because these aren't the pots they'll finish in, so they'll actually go into a bigger pot.
Okay, so $30 for dirt, so maybe another 30 for pots and buckets.
I'd say you're looking at 20 bucks a plant for dirt.
For just dirt.
For a cycle of a plant.
For dirt, bucket, feed, electricity.
Yes, that's not counting electricity. You got 2,000 watts in that room. We got this one here's 1,000 watts for a total of 3. And my light bill jumped up to almost 400 bucks
per month.
Yeah.
And what did you spend to get this light? Because this is a pretty powerful light. What is it? What are you using here?
I'm running Thunder 1,000 watt ballasts.
Okay.
And this light we have above us is running on this old school magnetic ballast.
I guess if you know what that means, you know what that means. If you don't, it's not important.
Magnetic ballast uses a big magnet in the coil and it runs voltage in and twists it around the wires. Actually just twists it around the wires and then kicks it off at a certain voltage. Like a little transformer. Okay. Nothing special. That's all it does. Goes in one, coils around the wires until it gets to a voltage. As the voltage reduces around the wires, kicks out the voltage you want or raises it. Makes this light work. These other ones are digital ballasts. They have voltage meters and you can turn them down 50, 75, 100%. They seem to use they're a little bit quieter, they're not quite as hot. Of course this bulb is 1,000 watt. I don't recommend 1,000 watt over your mother room actually. I'm going to tone this one down because you can get a suntan off this sucker. Look at that.
Yeah, it's almost forcing me out of the room.
Yeah, you got to put your sunglasses on to be in this sucker. Okay, so I use this one as a light over up in the air, but I have shelves. So the upper plants, see the shelves up there? You can put the plants up on the shelves and they're closer to the light and they're happy. There's ones on the floor.
And you do that in cycles? You rotate them from up to lower to middle?
Just to where I know where I am. See the bigger bags up there on top? Those guys are getting ready. They're going to where they're going to live.
And they're bigger because they're up top, or they got bigger being up top?
Well, you see this one here in the back row? See how it's real long and skinny and real tall? Okay, that's because it's been on the floor a while, and so it's stretching out to reach that light. See how that one on the shelf is more stocky and shorter?
Yeah.
They're the same age, but it's higher up on the shelf, so it doesn't have to work so hard to stretch to get to the light. Because remember, the luminas are stronger the closer you put it.
And the luminas do what?
That's just the light of measure. There's 2 ways to measure them, par and luminas. There's a big battle in the industry right now about par and luminas, because some folks say that luminas are the way to count light, and some folks say that par is the way to count light. They make meters that do both, but it doesn't really matter. Who cares? You can see that no matter what kind of meter you put on there, when you raise it closer to the light, it gets stronger, and when you move it farther away, it gets weaker.
So that's like the amount of energy, light, food, kind of everything being delivered to the plant?
It's the count of how far light travels from a light bulb.
Okay.
I think.
Well, that's all right. We don't need to explore the science. It's growing, so you don't necessarily...
Doesn't matter for anybody that cares. If you put the meter closer to the light, it reads higher. If you move it far away, it reads lower.
Simple enough.
Par meter or luminometer, they do the same thing.
All right, good enough. All right,
so for
what's next?
Okay, for what's next? Okay, we acknowledge that the closer to the light, they don't have to grow so fast and reach so far so they don't get as tall. The only problem with putting them close to the light is, as you can feel, move your hand up there, it's probably a good 40 degrees difference from, there to there, so that 2 feet.
I can feel the heat difference. It feels hot. It's brighter. It's intense. I can't even look up.
So well, that's why I got these hanging up a little higher, because they're drying.
So the lamp actually helps them dry.
Oh, definitely the heat off the lamp.
You're dehydrating them in a sense.
You see how it's if you take the leaves here and you just kind of pull it, they're kind of just stick. They don't really.
Right. They're still wet.
They're definitely still wet. So
it wouldn't burn.
But you'll be surprised. In Colorado, everybody dries their buds out a long time. I believe 2 days out here. Some folks are looking for the crack in the stem. So if I take this here, I bend it, doesn't crack at all.
Yeah,
it breaks
it's still moist.
You want it to not snap off, because that's too dry. You want it to just break and not totally break apart, and that's how you know it's kind of ready to go in. It'll feel crusty, but you don't want them when you touch them, they break apart. Then they're hard to trim. But I do a pre-trim on all mine. See how mine look pretty. Here's one that hasn't been trimmed that I missed.
Yeah.
Here's one I trimmed.
Yeah. So the difference is the untrimmed one has the leafy leaves sticking out of it. The picture type leaves where you see the leaf with the jagged edges standing up. That's basically what an untrimmed bud looks like. It's surrounded by leaves, and then you trim that away, and it leaves just a cone-shaped, honeycomb-ish kind of cone-shaped bud that's packed as you would think of a flower bud.
If you look at this one here, these little end leaves are sticking out more when they're wet, and when they start to dry, they kind of fold down. See how this one's kind of covered? So to trim this one later, now I'm gonna have to go in there and break all those out. So I like to just clip all the tips off. Okay, but look at those crystals on there. Isn't that beautiful? And they're turning darker.
Yeah, I can see they're
so
fully
yesterday there was no
crystallized.
brown in this, and now after I've cut it, it's pretty good.
It helps because you don't want all that THC from the stem going into the leaves that you're eventually going to cut off. You want it staying in the bud.
Yep, looks good.
So how much does this have left on it?
I just put out yesterday. I'd say it has another day and a half in here.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
And
Depends on how long we stand there with the door open. And this is a pretty standard. This one was about a month and a half vegging. This is a clone. It was a month and a half vegging.
Oh, that was a pretty good sized plant then.
Yeah.
What did we get, about 5 foot there?
Yeah. Well, let's see. It's right here in the pot, so.
About 4 foot. Yeah, a good 4 foot plant.
So I let it veg for a month and a half, and it got about that tall, about 3 feet, 2.5 feet. Turned it out, and it got about.
So what do you think you're going to actually produce from this? A couple ounces, a few ounces?
I'm hoping to get 3 ounces out of it, maybe 2.
So I noticed something here. This is what I heard the other day, actually. Notice on the very top, you have your top thick buds here. So I heard something the other day about growers that when you're about maybe a week or 2 before actually clipping the whole plant, that you actually take this top part first, and then about a week later or so you take the rest of the plant.
Sure.
And that this is kind of like the grower's premium that he takes always about a week or 2 before the public harvest gets picked and trimmed.
Definitely, there's some to that, because if you look here down on the bottom, these ones are just a little bit, but they don't really.
The top
look
buds look very ripe and roaring and ready to go, and that looks, that's the cream of the crop. That's the tip reaching out towards the sun god.
But
there.
you got to remember, see how long and stringy this is. This is the classic sativa, very long and stringy. A lot of growers don't like to grow the sativa like that because there's not as much weight to it. But I mean, that looks like a pretty healthy bud there on top, don't it?
Yeah, that's a good 5-inch. Well, I guess connected all the way down. That's a good 2-incher right there, right on top, sticking straight up. And that one being more mature at the tip, clipping that a week before the rest of the plant might actually savor that, make that creme de la creme of the top of the plant there, the cream that rises to the top.
Definitely.
That you take as the grower's cut, the grower's commission.
Definitely.
And then distribute to your close friends.
There's no problem with that.
Distribute to your network of cannabis friends.
Tops definitely do a little bit better than the lower ones, but this one here looks perfect. The rest, smaller buds anyway, and all this part down here on the bottom, 5/6 branches, it'll just go into my oils anyway. We're big oil users for the medicinal oil purposes.
There's a guy, you have to meet this dude last night who's making his own shatter and oils and everything.
Oh yeah?
And oils, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta meet him, dude.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And he has all these ideas about businesses he wants to start, head shops, because he's a glass blower also. with Earl Riggs in Boulder, Colorado, in his shop garage, blowing glass, heating the elements, talking molecules and science, and understanding how physics creates art and beauty into something that you can consume cannabis. Let's listen in. This is your shop right here.
Yeah.
We're in your shop, and this is where you make all of your pieces.
Yep.
This is the Earl Riggs.
Yeah.
Tire
So what
shop.
we're gonna do is we're gonna have pieces like this,
Okay.
and this will be available.
So what type of piece is this?
This is like a mini tube, and it will have the adapter so that you can smoke concentrates or flower.
So this is something you make here.
Yeah, this is something that I will make. There will be pieces that are specific pieces that are custom pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces. And then we also do a lot of custom pieces where it's like if you need an adapter for a downstem, you need a different type of, you want to convert your old flower smoking piece to an oil smoking piece, we can get you an adapter. If you want an 18 Tynell and your 14 rig, we can change it from 14 to 19 so that you can upgrade. Like if your piece is clogging and you want a bigger nail, you want to do bigger dabs, you want a bigger passageway, or like we have reclaim adapters where you basically put the adapter on the joint, and then it has an extra tube coming down, and all the oil falls into that tube instead of going into the piece. Some oil still gets into the piece, but most of the oil gets into the tube, so you can clean this tube real quick and not have it saves you a lot less time cleaning your piece.
So can you walk me like through the general steps of from beginning to end? Like what I'm looking at here just looks like chaos. There's just glass everywhere.
Yeah.
There looks like maybe an oven in the corner, a big tank of something. So to somebody from the outside, can you give a general, hit the main points of what you actually do here in the shop and how you produce pipes? Or I mean, what's the full inventory of what you produce?
We produce pretty much everything that's made out of borosilicate glass, which is hard glass. Okay. We make. So
everything is smoking accessory.
We make non-smoking accessories and smoking accessories. Okay. We try to make custom. We try to make custom pieces.
I love that one.
Yeah. There's a lot of these are all repairs. So like this person wanted their piece repaired. Most glass, once they drop it. So I made this piece for him, he dropped it. I'm taking all these components off, what I can save for him, and then I'm gonna make him a new piece. We sold all the glass inventory that we had today, but on Monday we're gonna have an inventory up, and there's gonna be pieces that you can buy, they're like that piece, and then there's gonna be pieces that are like,
I like this
incredible accessories. See, and
has a nice color.
I'll show you the adapter and all the other stuff too.
And then we gotta understand how you're actually doing this, because I don't know anything about this. So to me, this is just like it's mind baffling how you turn.
So we'll have
into
pipes.
This.
Yeah, we'll have
how do you make that?
We'll have pipes like this. Yeah, when you look at glass, it's hard to tell.
It looks almost ceramic on the bowl here.
Yeah. See, this piece right here is colored glass, and so the difference between colored glass comes in rods and tubes, but it looks like almost like crayons. This is the beginning
stage of all pieces.
No, there's tubes, which this is like, these would be the base for a piece. So like if you wanted to start with a tube.
So these beaker looking tubes.
Yeah, a beaker bong would start out with a tube this size diameter. Then you flare this.
What size is that? Because for people listening, so they get an idea what we're looking at.
So this tube in particular, it's 38 mil. It's got a 38 mil tube at the top, and it's got a perk inside. So you basically would start with a tube, the 38 mil. They attach it to the lathe, and then they take another piece of 38, because you can see where it welds right here is the same diameter, so it's 38, and then they would heat up a chunk of the 38 about a foot long. And when they heat up that piece,
then they blow into it and puff it out into this bubble and shape it into this beaker. And so basically, to get the shapes of glass, you're using your breath to blow.
That scared me.
Yeah.
You're in a glass shop and you're cracking on the floor.
It was nuts.
Andy's in my room once everything's done.
All right, thanks. So to get the color, this color started out as these rods.
So this is a greenish kind of emerald looking
Slime.
Okay.
Slime is what this
Slime.
is. This is a really popular color right now. It's called slime, and it changes colors. So basically, when you heat it up, it turns from this to a transparent.
So you're putting this rod, which is about a maybe
8 millimeter rod.
8 millimeter by, what's the length of it here?
2 feet.
2 feet, and you're putting it on a lathe, like a wood lathe.
No, I do all my stuff by hand. That tube was made by a lathe.
Okay.
And most tubes, like when you see beakers and scientific bigger stuff, most all of it's made by a lathe. I make all my stuff by hand, and so like I form all of the stuff by using my hands, and then
Like heating up with one hand and molding with the other hand?
So like to create this recycler right here, I took a tube about this size, which is 38 millimeter tube, and I heated up the 38 millimeter tube to where it's about 3 inches of that section. And once it gets glowing hot, blow into the tube and it blows out
So
into
you're
that
just
bubble.
physically blowing, you're not using a hose, you're physically blowing into
using
it.
your breath to
Now, is
blow.
that how all glass blowers work? Is they're using their own breath and...
Yeah, on a lathe, there's a blow tube that connects to the machine, so you blow through the hose and
Okay.
the pieces in your mouth. And you can also have a blow tube connected to the hose when you're blowing glass. Like, you can just have it from your mouth so you don't have to move this to your mouth. You can just puff into the glass while you're spinning it.
Is there a risk or a danger in dealing with heat and glass and blowing, putting your mouth up to... Is there any risk of what you're doing?
There are a lot of risks in glass blowing. First of all, like most glass blowers will tell you, glass cuts, fire burns. So those are the main 2 risks. Glass is sharp, it has pointy ends, it can cut you. And fire, when you heat up things, it burns you. And the clear glass is very tricky because once it stops glowing, you don't know if it's hot or not unless you put your hand close to it. So if you just grab something and it looks cold, it can be very hot.
So paying attention to detail and being very focused is almost...
You can see my hands. You get burned.
Geez.
You get burnt.
There's a huge scar on the right hand.
Yeah, I mean, that basically happened because one of the glass tubes came out of the kiln. And the kiln is basically the oven that you keep glass at a certain temperature to work it at. So depending on what color you're working and what kind of piece you're working, you'll have it anywhere from like 990 to 1100 degrees.
Wow.
And so those temperatures could do anything. At the hotter temperatures, you could be trying to get a color like this to change more colors and get that more metal looking look.
So your kiln is to just hold the glass while you're working on it, not to do a final processing, bake or...
No, you do have to do a annealing process
Oh, okay.
also, which is the bake. So a kiln is to keep the glass at working temperature. So like if you take a tube like this and you put a bigger tube right into a direct flame, it will just pop into pieces. And so you have to, that keeps the glass basically where you can put it into direct heat without really affecting it a lot.
Giving it a plasticky kind of consistency where it's flexible, maybe?
It doesn't make it flexible.
No.
It basically, like, the stress point in borosilicate is like from 8 something to 950 degrees. Borosilicate is, it's like stressed out. And so if you go from 950 and then all of a sudden you put it into a 1100 degree flame, a 1200 degree flame, all the molecules move, and the molecules kind of work like how bricks are. So like if the bricks have mortar, they're strong and they work together. If the bricks don't have mortar, you could just push the wall and it will fall. And so when the molecules start to heat up, they start to move faster. If the molecules over here are just dormant and sitting like not moving at all, and then these molecules move fast. It's kind of like the game where you're holding hands and swinging, the end person gets flipped off because that molecule is moving so fast and the other one can't hold on to it. And so
wow,
it turns into a liquid, and so it can be shocky if you don't know how to work it correctly. Once you get the piece finished, you put it in the kiln, and you want to keep it at 1050 at 2 hours, so that all the molecules become at the same temperature. Once they get to the same temperature, they're all moving and vibrating at the same speed, and that's what's going to make the piece strong. That's what's going to make the piece, you know.
Yeah, I gotta say, I never
unshocked.
once thought coming up here and learning about this, we were gonna have a conversation about molecules and spinning gravity around itself with
Yeah.
molecules. So
Yeah.
this is very interesting, and I'm sure most people are in the dark about what glass blowing is really about.
Glass-
I don't think people know. They're probably thinking like moldings or things that happen with metal or plastics, where you're just kind of filling mold and then shipping it off down the assembly line.
And there is a lot of that in glass blowing. There is a lot of mold making in those processes where they're making cups. Like when you go to the store and you're buying an 8-pack of cups, that was made in a mold process. And so there's a lot of, you know, just like any industry, glass is made for so many different things. This is the glass that used to be made for baking stuff. And, you know, when you got Pyrex dishes, it said Pyrex on it. It meant a certain batch of borosilicate glass.
So, if a tip then for people buying glass pipes. So, if I walk into a head shop and a guy has a cabinet case full of glass, what should I be looking for to make sure that the glass is what you're talking about? It's that high grade.
Most all glass blowers use borosilicate glass. That's not the problem. If you're looking at glass, most shops will tell you if it's a soft glass pipe, but most people don't make soft glass pipes. Soft glass is a lot of the beads that you see, like a lot of all those like bead stores that you go to and they have those glass beads. That's soft glass. And soft glass has a lot more colors because it works at a lower temperature.
Okay.
Hard glass, it's a mixture of all these different chemicals.
So your pipe that you just showed me that was full of color, the other one, the bong,
Yeah.
is that then from a soft glass with all the variety of color in that one?
There's a lot of color in borosilicate and pipe making now. I mean, you can see this rainbow piece here has pretty much.
And this is all natural color from the glass itself.
Yeah, so
you're not adding any type of dyes or tints or
To make this basically line tubing, which is called a tube pole.
multiple
This is-
rainbow
this is-
swirl of colors.
Yeah, it's called a tube pole. It's the way that you make what is called wigwags or reversals, or, you know, basically what it is see each one of these lines inside of here? Mm-hmm. Each one of these lines is one of these rods in actuality.
Oh.
And so what a glass blower does is take a 50 millimeter tube, and they take, you know, probably a 25 millimeter tube, which is like 1 inch. And so they have a big tube, a large tube, and the small tube inside. And so they stack all the rods all the way around this tube in the color pattern that they want to stack it in. And once they got it stacked, they heat it up with the lathe and spin it and have a vacuum at the end of the blow tube like I showed you there. And then the vacuum sucking and creating pressure and sucking that clear glass into the glass. And so if you look inside there, you see each one of those rods stacked up, and then you see the clear
It's
inside
like
there.
inside of a barrel of a gun.
Yes.
There's almost rifling, almost a unique kind of identity.
Yeah, so you see the outer tube, which is a clear piece of glass, and then you see all the colored rods lined up in the pattern, and then you see the inner tube, which is colored glass. And then you basically hook up to this, and then there's a bunch of different techniques in how you want to twist the glass.
Now, does that multiple rods make it stronger, make it a stronger pipe?
This is just the technique to get
The color.
and line patterns. Because once you start twisting the line patterns, see, you can make a line pattern like this. So like this started out in this, and then I twisted it up and flipped the axis and gave it this. And then you can, you know, make all different types of patterns depending on how you twist the tubing up. So that's called line working. And then line working is one process in glass, and then there's like carving and shaping, which this was like a vessel of glass. I took the same rods and I basically drew lines all the way around to cover the whole piece.
Heating the rod and dripping.
Drawing. It's like drawing, but you're using the flame to guide the rod.
It's like a 3D printer. You're melting it just enough to make
enough,
that layer and then go over.
Yep. And so once you draw that line on there, then I covered that whole bubble in that color. And once I had it, I blew it so it looked just like a uniform bubble of that color. And then I used a knife or certain like dental tools, and you heat up the glass, and then you just drag and carve the glass.
So you're just heating up parts at a time, not the whole thing.
Not
so
the whole thing.
You're touching it with your bare hand when you're working on it?
No.
You're wearing big industrial gloves?
No. Every time that you are making a pipe, it starts out on a blow tube like this. So that would have had that had the blow tube the whole time.
So it was about
and when
6-inch, 9-inch spacer of glass.
You want to have at
to.
least a foot handle, so that you can have it in the kiln, and your handle's not going to be too hot when it comes out of the kiln. It's not going to burn you. You can easily handle the pipe and maneuver it, and then once you're done with that, you grab this side with the claws and tear the blow tube off and finish the pipe, and then put it in the kiln and nail it and then
bake it. So for a pipe like this is about a 6-inch, pretty good sized pipe. How many tubes of glass or of this slime is going into it?
This isn't actually slime. This is caramel. So this started with a 2-inch section of black tubing, a 3-inch section of 38 mil clear tubing, and then probably half a stick of caramel tubing striped on clear tubing.
So what does that mean in total raw resources to make a pipe like this? Raw resources.
Glass blowing, as far as resources, I'm not going to lie, the materials are cheap.
Okay, so these rods here are pennies, dollars?
No. The slime, this color, because it's batch or it's exclusive or whatever they want to say, is $90 a pound.
Okay.
But as far as the rods and the stuff, it's not cheap. But if you know how to manipulate it, you can create products that can make you 10 times what you paid for the glass.
Right.
So if you fuck it up, you lost money. But if you know how to use it correctly, it's definitely like the buying the glass isn't the expensive thing.
It's your time.
Oxygen is really expensive. Having oxygen tanks, we have liquid oxygen. A lot of people when they're starting out just use like 100-pound welding tanks. And so the liquid oxygen, it basically has 16 of those tanks in there. Oh, okay. And that's a lot of oxygen.
And that's what heats your kiln here, or that's what's heating your torch?
Yeah, I'll show you here.
So how many hours of labor are you putting into this size of a pipe here?
I probably spent, I'd say, an hour on that piece.
Oh, okay. For some reason I was picturing this elaborate multi-day process to get it to this point.
No.
Alright, torch is up and on.
So basically,
that's a pretty badass torch.
The
is that acquired at the local Walmart? Or
no. This is a GTT Delta Mag. This torch is basically meant to be able to mimic a lot of different torches. So it has 2 different oxygen settings. It allows you to have like very pinpoint flames.
Is this what it was built for? Its primary function to blow glass?
The people that built this torch bought all the other torches on the market and found out what was good about them and try to add it into this torch. I'm not saying it's the best torch on the market. A lot of people like Herbert Arnold's, but this torch was meant to like heat shit up really hot. These torches are designed to like work with color but get shit really hot really fast, like do production. So I have this foot pedal down here, and when I hit that, it opens up the outer burner. And so
a 1.5-foot blue flame is shooting out of this torch.
Yeah, so basically like when I'm working on a piece with the foot control, I can just open to a wider flame. If I want to blow a bigger vessel, I can like start with a smaller flame and then heat the base up and then turn on the outer flame to...
So the bigger the flame, the bigger the heat.
Yeah.
The more you're manipulating the glass, the smaller the flame, the less you're manipulating? Or?
Yeah, and the faster you heat glass up, the harder it is to control and the sloppier it's going to look.
Gets goopy and drippy.
And drippy and melty, and you'll lose control of it. So like the key to glass blowing, I guess, is like to try to work as fast as possible without affecting the thing that you're working on negatively. Because if you go too fast, it will totally melt the thing. And it just depends on the look that you want. Because, you know, a lot of people who make their careers in this living, their main things that they sell were mistakes that they just stumbled upon, and it ends up being a cool mistake. Mm-hmm. And it ends up being cool, and that's what they make their like main living off
Their
of.
own unique art. I mean, it's art in a sense. You're an artist.
Yeah, there's different aspects to this glass blowing. You got to put these on. There's different aspects to the glass.
So I'm
blowing.
putting on glasses, which probably means I'm really gonna have glasses on. All right, so I have my dark glasses on, and I'm getting ready to watch my first live glass blowing.
So I'm just gonna basically show you how the glass rods melt. Like if you wanted to melt a rod, like if you wanted to make a twisty rod here, you can basically heat this guy up. See how I'm basically drawing one line of color and turn it off.
Well, there you go. Did you find that interesting? Have you ever wondered how they make those glass pieces with all the different colors and the swirls and the lines and the tubes inside of tubes? Well, that was just a peek into that world. I got to see it up close, and there's pictures on our Facebook and, of course, on the website directly from our photo section on that front page. Take a look. Take a look on the website. Take a look on Facebook. Find us on Facebook. Let us know that you listen. Let us know. Tell a friend. Tell a friend to listen in. Saturdays at 4:20 or really anytime. This is the world of podcasting, baby. We don't need you to be on any schedule. You can listen at your own leisure, whether you're at the gym, you're on your way to work. You can even be in class. Wherever you need just a little peace and calmity in this world, wherever you need just a little peace and tranquility around something you understand, this is the community for you. Come hang out. Cannabis Community Project. We're going to be here every week doing the same thing, looking at dispensaries, looking at patients, looking at musicians, looking at entrepreneurs, looking at people who are going to help us shape and form this industry, the cannabis community industry. Join us. Tell somebody. Let's get it on. See you next week.